So, I guess since we have a lot of international audience, especially from outside the Nordics here, we could start off with you guys telling a bit about your ecosystems in your respective countries. So, Sebastian, you want to start off?
Sure. So, pleasure being here, by the way. Thanks for having me. So, Sweden is a very interesting country to run a hub in. Last year, the Nordics attracted more than 500 million euros in investments. 70% of those funds were invested into Sweden. So, and it has always been very strong activity in Sweden with super interesting startups and successful companies. So, when we started off, there were already very strong entrepreneurs, very strong companies, very strong investors. So the elements were already existing when we started last year. We just figured out how to find a good combination between how to help the startups and satisfy the investors and create this paradise for startups. So that's how we started off, basically. So we've been running for a year now. We have about 40 companies.
Yeah.
We have different elements. We screen the companies very thoroughly. We make sure that we have a lot of investor members as well. So we're trying to really
create a full community around.
Exactly, bring everyone together, basically. Okay. And so companies, our companies attracted, I think, over 20 million euros in investments just on our companies. And still growing, so it's very exciting to be in this space.
Well, what about Iceland? How do you guys? What's the ecosystem like over there?
So I'm representing the smallest country by far.
Yeah.
320,000 people who live in the whole country. But the startup scene it's quite early stage. We have the kind of like the first or maybe the second generation of entrepreneurs back home. The startup scene is vibrant, it's growing, definitely. We have had few exits and international growth. A lot of events. My company, we are project-based, so we have 2 accelerator programs, business plan competition, and startup weekends. But yeah, I would say it's growing, but it's kind of a small scene, though.
Okay. And Jasenko?
Yeah, so I'm from CPH for the Win. We're a fairly new organization, and we started by doing a different approach to building a community. We raised about $170,000 from 85 tech startups, so we raised privately from startups, which was fucking difficult. But we decided to keep public money out, because quickly you can get a political agenda. We have our way, we only focus on startups right now. And to talk about Denmark, what's fantastic about Denmark, we're very good within biotech, clean tech, web. We're very famous for B2B software. Zendesk, Mikkel is one here. Unity, you have Tradeshift, you have a lot of these guys. But what's lacking in our system is that we don't have Spotify, we don't have SoundCloud. It's not as sexy. So my job is to make it more sexy to go into startups. Yeah.
No. And Stina, the Norwegian ecosystem, what can you say about that?
That's the same as Jasenko is saying about Denmark. In Norway, we also have a lot of business to business and a lot of high tech. We're world leading within like subsea technology and those kind of things, and working on how to create a buzz around the Norwegian startup ecosystem to make these business to business things sexy. At Startup Norway, which is a company that I'm representing. We are experts of the Norwegian startup ecosystem.
How old are you guys in your country?
We have been involved in the startup scene for the last 4 years, but Startup Norway as a company have been existing for 2 years. And we help encourage the ecosystem through events and learning programs.
Okay. And well, yeah, my name is Kasper Suomalainen, and I'm representing Aalto Entrepreneurship Society. I'm the current president, and well, I see that there was kind of a theme of high tech, clean tech stuff going on in our countries, and that's actually pretty much in Finland really what's kind of booming, especially in healthcare and wellness as well. But something that's really peculiar here that you can see well, that started already from the 90s. The demo scene is the gaming that we have. I mean, Rovio and Supercell, and we've had a lot of other promising companies that are also represented here at Slush. So I'd say that's really the strength of the startup ecosystem here in Finland, or the fields that we're really strong in. And the way we do help in our ecosystem, Aalto-ES actually, we're organizing Slush back in the day as well, and we have a lot of activities for students, teachers, researchers, entrepreneurs. About 100 events every year, plus a few accelerator programs, then Slush, and an internship program for students as well. And I think it's really started to boom now. It's started in 2009, so I guess we're a bit older than most of you guys. But what's hard in building a startup ecosystem? What do you think, Jasenko? Back at home, what are kind of the challenges that you faced in helping the startups or creating an ecosystem to help the startups?
I think first and foremost, getting them on your side. I think when you go in and try to unite everybody like we want to do, is that sometimes there's going to be friction. If you imagine like you have a fragmented ecosystem because of a lack of proactivity, some have gone into various areas. So basically, you have dealing with egos, dealing with personal agendas, you have dealing with people who are more commercialized thinking than community-oriented. And basically, what we want to do is that we want to get more talents within startups, and we want to help create better entrepreneurs. That's our primarily focus, and we want to reach out and get everybody involved.
Do you see the same kind of friction in Iceland?
Yes and no. I mean, it's a tiny country.
So everybody basically knows everyone.
Basically, everyone knows each other, but still, maybe the distance between Iceland and the rest of the world. I mean, we are an isolated country, so we don't have this access to maybe foreign countries as you guys have. But still, I agree the challenges are to build this community of people, build the peer-to-peer learning and knowledge sharing and access to talents and everything. So
would you say that Iceland is, in a sense, compared to the rest of us, a more closed ecosystem because of the location, or is it as easy to collaborate with other countries as?
In a way, it's probably the same, but also, I mean, we kind of look out to Icelanders abroad, so Icelandic startups who have already been abroad. So that's our key to the market often. So yeah.
And Norway, what challenges do you face?
In Norway, definitely something that we can learn from Sweden and Denmark and Finland is how to create buzz around the ecosystem and get the rest of the world to see what's happening in Norway and come and visit us, and like what you guys are doing here in Finland with Slush and inviting the world to come to Finland. And you should learn from that.
I was actually
visiting
Norway last spring, and I think it was pretty cool. I attended a conference there, and it was my first time there, so I really liked it. It was fun, and I think let's go to Sweden. You mentioned you're a little under a year old, or about a year,
yes.
And it's pretty fragmented. You tried to gather some pieces. So what challenges have you found in trying to take this, and this, and put them together into a working ecosystem?
The first part was that we did a lot of preparations before we started off. So we've been running for a year now, and things are moving really fast forward and going really well. And that's mainly because of all the fantastic startups in Sweden. So we are just the facilitators. There are already venture cap, there are already fantastic entrepreneurs with very nice track records, so we brought them together. So knowledge about the network, knowledge about whom to talk to, which investors do we need to become allies with before we start things off, so we get important elements. And of course, key startups. High quality startups is core to everything. And that's always a challenge, right? So you want to know that you really bring in the good companies. And when you have a good screening structure, you really need to build a good brand. Because if you have a good brand, then you'll get the good applications. And that's how you keep quality increasing and get more and more investors interested in your region. So I think that's the main issue. The main challenge is to sort of tell the world that, hey, if you're an investor, excited about the region, drop by, have some spontaneous meetings, meet some super cool companies, and have a lot of value of just a visit, a drop by in Stockholm.
And that's actually a big reason why Slush started, was to get people to the Nordics, to this region, and say, hey, look, even though the weather sucks, we have great talent, and come invest here, and once a year just get together and organize a bunch of meetups between investors and startups. But what I could mention about challenges in the Finnish ecosystem is that, the fragmentation, it's really an issue, and especially since I'd say it's really, the strong ecosystem started about growing 5 years ago, and for example, in Aalto University, where I'm from, there's about 20 to 25 different players that have something to do with entrepreneurship, that help startups, student startups, or investors in some way. So I'd say that's, from my point of view, been a real challenge, though. And what would you guys think? What could help with the fragmentation? How did you manage that?
I think it's about.
Or what can you teach us?
I think it's about mindset, because if everyone is agreeing on that we're doing it to help startups, we're doing it to increase efficiency of our ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
Then if everyone is aligned with that thought, then you need to find a way to work together, because you can't have small clusters working against each other. That's not good for the startup. So it's all about helping startups. Nothing else matters.
Yeah, so instead of just competing, just collaborating more.
For sure, yeah. And competing is sometimes very good as well, because if it's an open market, free market, maybe that means that some hubs are not strong enough, not good enough to help startups, and then they shouldn't exist then. But it's all about coming together, collaborating, helping each other to figure out how to help startups the best.
Actually, we're having an event together in about a week and a half, so we've already started to try to do some inter-Nordic collaboration as well. Also visited Denmark, but I think there could definitely be a lot more of that as well.
There are some good initiatives in the inter-Nordic thing. Like, we have a project together through Nordic Innovation, 3 of us,
and basically the goal is to brand the Nordic region as a whole to the rest of the world, to promote Nordic startups abroad.
Yeah.
So that's
one of the biggest weaknesses we have is that we often think too much within our borders. And what we get criticized is that you don't think too internationally, you don't think large enough. And that's why we actually also talking between each other about how we can brand the Nordics as a region and work together more, because there are so many synergies, so much we can learn from each other. And I think the biggest challenge is getting people to realize that it's a mindset problem. There is creating that kind of mentality where you give before you get, and getting that going, because yes, we need to compete for talent, yes, but we need to unite and kind of share knowledge much more to compete with Asia, America, Southeast, we have other regions besides Denmark and 4.5 million people, right? Or 5.5.
Well, when we're talking about kind of branding the Nordic startup ecosystems for the world, the one thing I've noticed is, we're all fairly small countries. I mean, in Finland, one of the strengths that we have is it's really easy to get in touch with almost anyone. You need maybe 1, 2, maximum 3 people to get in touch. So I think that's really something that we can leverage. But what else? what is kind of peculiar in your guys' opinion about the Nordics that really unites us on top of the fact that we're really small?
I think you mentioned it, actually. We're so small countries, so our home market is for testing the product.
Exactly.
So think global from day one. That is probably one of the core reasons why Nordic startups have been successful so far.
What about Stina? Do you?
I agree with that. To think global and also to like brand it together. It's important because we all have like strengths. Norway is very good at like governmental support. Sweden and Denmark very good at like bus around their ecosystem, and if we all join these forces together,
you can send us some oil money.
You want to say something about Jasenko?
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking a little bit. Yeah, but definitely. Like I think the Sebastian made a great point. It's like such a small region. It's only for test market, so like, we have to brand it as a overall region and not just Denmark's region.
Yeah, you're not just looking at Europe even. You're just thinking globally right from the get-go.
Yeah, but I think like for us, we're starting with Copenhagen, and then already now thinking Nordic level, because I think we need to create a base first. We've created hype around Copenhagen, but now thinking a bit larger, because I think we need a foundation. There's so many things we need to learn from each other first before going abroad, right? And since it's a small region, we're very similar in many ways, so I think that's where we start.
I think it's actually dangerous to think small. If you're a representative from a hub, especially if you're involved in digital startups that are supposed to scale, if you don't go global, then you're not supposed to exist. So we are initiative, we are leaders, and people will follow what we do. So if we think big, others will think big. So I think it's a very core thing that you have those global ambitions, because that's what it takes to become successful.
From Finland's viewpoint, I kind of agree with both of you that you should think really big and global right away, but kind of the way it started here, this whole ecosystem of Slush was started by students, and as you said, we have to have, or what I noticed here, we really built a strong ecosystem in Helsinki first, and then started going abroad. But I think the key for us was really going from Helsinki to abroad, and then kind of the rest of Finland followed as well. And now we have, for example, 15 different entrepreneurship societies in 15 cities here, and the last one was set up, I think, about a month and a half ago. So from our point of view, that was we're kind of in the middle of what you guys said.
Yeah, but I fully agree with you. Like, we should think global, but I think what I meant is like we need to look like I'm really thinking like execution-wise, what we can do right now to kind of backtrack that. Yes, that is the goal, but what we can do right now to kind of go towards that. Right?
Don't never forget about quality. Like you rather have one customer that love you, that will spread the word, than 3 that think you're okay, right? Yeah. So you work with quality, and then hopefully that would lead to quantity. This is applicable to both business to business and business to consumer.
Yeah. Is that actually something you emphasize to your startups? That's actually, the last question, we don't have too much time here, so what's one thing that you really emphasize to your startups in your respective countries?
I would say show your passion, because investors really pick up on that. So be really motivated about your project, and show your passion.
More dedication. This is the truth. We simply have too many 8 to 4 entrepreneurs in Denmark, and that is, everybody talks, oh, quit your 9-to-5 job, but then it becomes 9-to-5 entrepreneurship. So we need to get more dedication in.
More dedication. Yeah. Well, what about Norway?
Also, like, don't be afraid to tell the story about what you're doing, and when you're successful, remember your startup community and give back and come and help the new entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And what about Sweden?
We are very good in the Nordics and in Sweden to build great engineered products, nice design, nice user experience. Leverage on that, build a really good product, solve a problem, and then work hard, because that's the only thing. That's how you differ from others. Work hard, 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 hard.
About Finland, I could. Well, one thing that's very crucial here is the fear of failure, because I think that's a lot of entrepreneurs when they start out. I can't do this, I can't do that. But if you think of failure, it's failure and success come hand in hand. If there's no success, there can't be any failure, and vice versa. So failure really means you've grabbed the opportunity to succeed. And if you're grabbing the opportunity to succeed, what's wrong with that? And that's one thing. So I think to recap, something that we could actually work on later on is really how we can learn from each other and showing the passion, dedication, learning to work hard, and remembering the startup community, and especially telling your story and learning from your failures.
Yeah, and did you want to say something about the meetup where people can?
Well, so no, I think it's. I think you misunderstood me. I wanted you, our guys, to continue conversation afterwards, after this panel.
Yeah.
And anyone, of course, welcome to join. But we only have a table for 5, so people can stand.
But yes, I would like to thank all of you, Stina, Dilja, Jasenko, and Sebastian, for joining this panel.
Thank you.
And I think the next program is starting in about 5 to 10 minutes, so stay tuned. But let's give a big round of applause to our panelists.